Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Biodiversity and Conservation. I am Subbalakshmi Raut from Ambika Prasad Research Foundation India, and we are continuing our UGC NET examination series for environmental science subject, and this is 11th part of Unit 3 Environmental Biology. Now today we are going to cover two population attributes, sex ratio and population dispersion. First one is sex ratio. It is the ratio of males to females in a population, and there are great variations that exist among animals in terms of the number of females and male individuals. For example, like in social insects like honeybees, a single female is responsible for reproduction out of a large population, which is mostly neutral. And the sex ratio also changes with age because of differences in the mortality of male and female individuals. And the age and sex ratios are important influencers on the birth rate. And the sex ratio is usually expressed as males is to females, made up to the total of 100. Like example, 50 is to 50 means 50 males is to 50 females in a population. That's an example. In case of large animals, it is customary to mention males per 100 females or as a percentage of totals that are males or females. And another way or a verbal way of expressing the sex ratio is to say that it is male biased population or a female biased population. In male bias, that means more males are present than females, and the female bias means more females are present in a population than males. In most species, the sex ratio varies according to the age profile of the population, and it is generally divided into four subdivisions like primary sex ratio, secondary sex ratio, tertiary sex ratio, or quaternary sex ratio. The first one, primary sex ratio, means the sex ratio at the time of conception, the point at which the sperm fertilizes the eggs. It means conception. This is usually near 50 is to 50 in natural population, but in few cases where parasites may be present, that can change this ratio by having lethal effects on sperm. So there will be more chances of less chances of fertilization. So sex ratio may be changed according to that. And the secondary sex ratio means the sex ratio at the time of hatch or birth. Often it is nearly 50 is to 50, but there are some examples which shows that there is skewness in the secondary sex ratios, and tertiary sex ratio is the ratio in sexually active organisms. It is also called adult sex ratio, ASR. It is defined as the proportion of adults in a population that are male. And quaternary sex ratio is the ratio in the post-reproductive organisms. These are all theoretic theory, but it's easy marketing parts. And measuring these ratios is a problem since they lack clear boundaries, and sometimes in generally avian tertiary sex ratios seem to be skewed towards males. That means there are more sexually active males in the population than females. So there is a little bit skewness towards the males, and the tertiary ratios of mammals tend to be biased towards females. Now, there are some factors that affect these ratios. Um, there are mainly four factors: density independent motility, intraspecific competition, breeding patterns, and crowding. First one, density independent motility. It drives the ratio either way depending on which sex suffers the greatest stress, and the stress may arise out of reproduction or dispersal. Like there are some reproduction related stress in case of polygynous male mammals, which may end up spending more energy on attracting or defending mates so that they become more vulnerable to predation, or their condition deteriorates, or the female birds on nest wherein they may be much more vulnerable on the nest than normally. So in this case, the due to more time spent on attracting and defending mates, there may be death of males, which may affect these sex ratios. Dispersal also have a negative impact on the sex ratio because um, in some species, the fact that young males which start hibernation late emerge early and then are driven off by females, and dominant males increases their rate of predation, and this makes a biased sex ratio in favor of females. And intraspecific competition in this, depending upon which sex is dominant in contest for resources, the sex ratio may be driven in favor of males or females. For example, the female Wilson's warblers have to migrate much further south towards South Central America, because males migrate first and take all the best spots in the northern end of the wintering range. So here, due to intraspecific competition, the females are exposed to a greater risk, um, which is letting biasness in favor of males. And on the other hand, the male mammals, uh, where the mammal males are larger than females, have higher energetic requirements because of the larger body size, and may be more vulnerable to food shortages. So, due to these large size and all, they cannot survive in harsh conditions, which may lead to the sex ratio favor um, in for females. Now, third one is breeding pattern. So, the sex ratio may be skewed toward the sex that gets the biggest advantage from early age of first breeding. The early breeding species favor male biased clutches early in the season, so the males that get off to an early start have advantage in securing mates, and the later breeding species, um, due to favor female bias sex ratio in early clutches, because in those species female have a chance of moving up their age of first breeding. That, that simply means that due to early breeding, some males will get their mates easily. So there will be very less and less favorable mates available for the later breeding males. And last one is crowding. The degree of crowding can influence the sex and structure of some species and coordination of these features within the natural life cycle. Um, if the population becomes crowded, there is more competition for food, for meeting, all the normal life processes. So this may also affect the sex ratios. Now we are going to study about population dispersion, which simply means distribution within a habitat. The dispersion of population, the description of pattern of distribution or dispersal of organisms in space is of considerable ecological significance. Changes in dispersion pattern are generally considered along with the changes in size while interpreting population dynamics. And understanding of dispersion is vital to understanding of host parasite and prey predator relationships. Here actually it's simple understanding that a population um, can get distributed according to the natural phenomena or due to some requirements. So the individuals in a population may be distributed according to three basic patterns: random, uniform, and clumped. We will study one by one. Random distribution. It is where rare in nature, occurring where the environment is uniform and there is no tendency for organisms to aggregate. This is expected when several small factors are acting together in a population. It's normal distribution where there is uh, no uniformity, nothing, and there is no aggregation of organisms. Um, this is the simplest form of distribution. And the uniform distribution, it is more regular than random, and it may occur when competition between organisms is severe or when there is positive antagonism that promotes even spacing. Um, in this uniform dispersion, there will be a high level of competition which will influence them to separate from each other in a uniform space. So next one is clumped distribution. Here the individuals lie close together, that is aggregated to form groups, and the groups in turn may be variously distributed, giving rise to further patterns as random clumped or uniform clumped or aggregate clumped. And the nature of population dispersion can easily be assessed by Mortison's index, and there's a formula for this one, um, but if we go about it theoretically, we can say that the Mortison's index, when it is equal to 1, the distribution is random. When it is greater than 1, the distribution is clumped. And when it is less than 1, the distribution is uniform. This is all from me today, and thank you.